Hello everybody, this is Tracy White, T. Earl on the UE4 forums with another video. Now this one we've gotten far enough in our game we want to go ahead and test it on an iOS device. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you how I got my game onto my iPad. I have an iPad 2 that I'll be using as a test bed. Alright, so the first thing that you need to make sure that you have is iTunes. iTunes, of course, is available from apple.com, and just download it, and you'll um, need that in order to transfer your game to your iPad. Alright, the other thing you need to know is where to find a program that came with your Unreal Engine. Again, I'm using 4.6. I heard that there was, or read somewhere that there's some issues with 4.7, so we're going to stay with 4.6 and not upgrade from there. But if you go to your install path for Unreal Engine, I have Unreal Engine 4.6 Engine binaries, and then go to your .NET and your iOS folder, and you'll see a application called iPhone Packager. All right. So you can go ahead and start that up, and it'll ask for where our actual UE4 project is. Okay, so I've got my UE4 project, I think under my documents, and I'll go down to Unreal Projects, my Amaze Mobile, and then I have Amaze dash iOS. So I did a separate branch off of this just for iOS. Okay, so whenever you choose your project, you'll get this screen. Now you'll see my check marks here I've already got because I've already imported my provision and my certificate. And if this is your first time running this, you're not going to have that. So what we need to do is create a certificate request pair. So go ahead and click that, and then we'll type in our address for email address, and then a name. We'll call this one example project. And then from here we're going to want to go ahead and create or generate a key pair, and then it'll ask you where you want to put that key pair. I happen to have a folder on my desktop, and this is the key I previously generated, so I'm not going to overwrite that because I need to keep that. So I'm just going to create one that says example developer key pair. Alright, after that's done, you'll get the little check mark, and then you need to generate a certificate request. Alright, and again I'll point that back to the same place that I saved my other little key pair, and I'm not going to write over my certificate signing request, so I'll just call this example certificate signing request, and we'll save that. All right, and then we've got we've taken care of that. All right, so the next thing you need, if you haven't already done so, and this is kind of the bummer of the whole thing, is you need to go to developer.apple.com and the Dev Center, and you need to create an account. So the downside to this is that your developer account is going to cost you $100, and it lasts a year. But this is how we'll get to generate our keys and everything. I'm going to go ahead and log into mine. Okay, so I'm going to go to my certificates, identifiers, and profiles under my iOS developer program. And it's an iOS app. I don't need to review the license agreement. I'll just remind me later. All right, so I'm going to go to certificates, and now I've already got a certificate generated, but the process that you would do this is you would hit this little plus sign if there's nothing there, if you haven't been through it already, and you'll need to choose what type of certificate for development that you need, and we're doing an iOS app development. And then we'll need to hit continue at the bottom. And then it'll tell us about creating a certificate signing request. So basically we're just going to continue on through here, and we're going to upload our CSR file that we did before from our iOS, if you remember that our iOS configuration wizard that we created, the CSR and the key pair. So I kept that on my desktop, amaze, and then I would use my example certificate signing request. And then I would hit generate. Waiting. All right, and then we have our new certificate. At this point, you'll go ahead and click download, and it's going to go ahead and save that to whatever your default download location is. So I'll go and it goes straight into my downloads folder, so it's right there. The reason I have a bracket is because you can see before I had another certificate, security certificate. All right, so the next thing that you need to do on your developer certificates, identifiers, and profiles page is we're going to go ahead and add our device. So if you go down to devices, I've got my iPad listed here, and then my brother's iPhone, he's got an iPhone 6, is also listed here because he's my other test bed for iOS devices. All right, so if you want to add a new iOS device, again, just click the plus. You give a device a name. So we're registering a device, and we're going to call this our example device. And then you need this UDID. All right, so UDID is whenever you go over to iTunes. Whenever you have your device hooked up, so like iTunes might come up to your music or something, whenever you come up to hook up your device, you'll see it as your device listed over here in your iTunes. And under this summary, you'll see a serial number. If you click that serial number, it'll show you your UDID. You can right click and copy that. So then back on your developer page, you can right click and paste that in. And then you would go ahead and hit continue, and you would review and your information here, the name and the UDID, and then you would hit register. Now I'm not going to hit register because my UDID is already registered. Okay, so I'll cancel that. All right, the next thing you need to do is create an app ID. So we're going to go to our app ID, and you can see I've already created one, but we'll go ahead and create another one for this example, and we'll call this example app ID as our description, and then our explicit ID can be whatever we want it to. We're going to call this again example app ID. Okay, and then down at the bottom we'll go ahead and hit continue. Now if you needed to enable any of these other services for your particular game, you'll have to research that on your own and choose which ones you need for that. Okay, again, it comes up with confirming your information and everything that you want enabled for this app, and then you would hit submit. Again, I'm not going to hit submit here, and the reason is because I've already got mine done, which is this one. Okay, after app ID, we want to go ahead and create an iOS provisioning profile. So now we go down to provisioning profile. You can see I've already added mine, but we'll walk through the process again. So we're going to add a provisioning profile. This one is going to be for iOS app development. Then we pick our game, and this will be based on whatever app IDs you have used. Now remember, I've already created my app ID, so that would be the one that I choose, and then I would continue. And then I would select the certificates that I wish to include in this provisioning profile. And of course I would just check, mine. and we hit continue. And then whichever devices that we want to include in this provisioning profile, we would go ahead and select the devices that we've had registered and hit continue. And then we'll name this profile, name example profile for example. And then from there we're going to generate a profile. And then what we do with this profile is download it, and now we've got our certificate and our profile downloaded. All right, so that is all we need to do on this page. If you're having an issue with this, I want to go ahead and suggest that you do go to the UE4 documents, so docs.unrealengine.com, click the iOS Quick Start, and just run through that. And that's pretty much what I just did. All right, on to the next thing. Once we're done here and we've downloaded our certificate and our provision, we need to go back to our IPP. And then this is when we import our mobile provision. And you go to where those were downloaded. For me, they were in downloads. And we would load our provision and our certificate. Again, I'm not going to overwrite what I've already got here. So I'll do my last one that I had, and we'll open that, and you'll see the check mark there whenever it's valid. And then same thing with certificate. My certificate was downloaded here, and I'll choose not the one I generated today, but the one I generated before. All right. Next thing we need to do, like it says, choose the key pair that you made when generating the certificate request. So our key pair, and I probably should keep all this in one place, but I don't. So I navigate to my path where I put my key pair, and I'll put that there. All right, and then I'm ready to package. All right, so now we're back in our editor. We've created our keys, our certificates, our mobile provision, all that kind of good stuff. I know it's a long process, but it's necessary. Okay, so back in the editor, there's a couple of things you can need to do. One, let's go to our project settings, and then we're going to go down to iOS. And I just want you to check to see if your provision and your certificate have been properly imported. You'll have the green check marks. If not, you can import your provision by selecting import provision, selecting your provision and your certificate and your key. And then you should be all greened up for that. Whenever you pull this down, you should have your device listed on here, and you can launch on that device. Now what this is going to do is it's going to take whatever level you have loaded in your editor. It'll kind of do a little packaging, and it'll throw it onto your device for testing. However, my game, I have one main level, and it's not a playable level. So if I were to launch this on my device, it would load this level onto the device and it would play, but whenever I went to actually play a level, it doesn't transfer all the levels. So if you have a single level game, this is a great quick way to launch on your device. If your game is has multi levels, or multiple maps, then and it's all fed off of a main map, you're going to need to package the entire game. All right, so packaging the game. We'll go to File, Package Project, iOS. So this will build and cook and all that kind of good stuff, your game. All right, so on my desktop I have AMA's packaged is a folder that I just made for it. So I'll go ahead and click that. And then you'll see packaging project for iOS. So if you want to, you can show the output log and it'll show you all this stuff that I have no idea what it is. But while it's doing this, I want to mention that my project is 100% Blueprint. So this is the process that you would use for a game that's all done with blueprints. Apparently, and I'm not a coder, so I don't know C++, but apparently if you're a coder and you're doing C++ kind of stuff, then there's a little bit of difference in the way you do all this stuff. And if you're in that column of, expertness, then go ahead and look all that stuff up on your own. All right. And we're done. All right, so it created an app for us. So what we need to do is, I'll go over here. We'll look in on my desktop under packaged, and then under iOS you'll see amaze-iOS. Now this is an iOS app. All right, keep that open. In iTunes, what you'll need to do is go to app, and I have the app already in here. But if you wanted to, it's not by default going to be listed in here. So what you'll need to do is you'll need to add a file to your library. You will navigate to your packaged app, click it, and click open. Okay, so that's how you get there. Now what you'll see on mine is you'll see UE4 game and Unreal Launcher. Now see the difference between the two in size? My Unreal Launcher is really small. That's what happened whenever I launched from the game, or from the editor, I mean. It only loaded this one level. This one is the full game. And let's take a look at, I've got some fun little games that I play on here and stuff like that, but we want to install the new UE4 game. So I have my device plugged in. Those are my screens. I'm going to go ahead and click install, and it'll tell me will install. Now it won't actually install until you hit apply. So I'm going to go ahead and hit apply, and on my device, which you can't see right now, I have a new icon, and it's the UE4 icon, and it is loading on my device. So at this point I'm going to go ahead and cut this camera. I think I'm going to load up my little webcam and show you on the device what I've got. Alright, this is really funny, but it's like what I've got. So I've got my little webcam, and it is looking at my iPad screen right now, and I'm gonna hit, you can see the icon over here, and it's the UE4 game, and then you can see all the reflection in the background because no anti-glare, but just deal with me. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and launch my application. There is no splash screen, just some good reflections off of everything. And it's going to go ahead and load the level and play the level, and I've got our audio is playing, and I can go ahead and hit play. We'll choose level 1, and just like what we've tested on the PC, it's here, and I can go ahead and drive around, and hopefully everything works right. So that is how to get it on your iOS device. What I'm going to do next in my next video is go over some things I've discovered after the fact, not during this thing. This whole thing has been a journey for me, and I've learned a whole lot of stuff. And then there's a lot of optimizing that we need to do for the game. So we'll go over optimizing some uh, of the assets and specifically materials in the game. And I hope that you learned a lot from this. I know the Android deployment is kind of the same. I couldn't get mine to work because my son's Android device is kind of low end. So if I get that working, I'll do a video on that as well. All right, thanks for joining me, and we'll see you next time. Comments if you have questions.